from one division team that you played 4 times this year to another one. Just given the kind of familiarity that you all have with Minnesota, what's your initial take on what you're going to be facing?
Another tough team. We've won some games and lost some games to them, so it's going to take a lot of focus. Get back to the 0-0 mindset.
What did you guys take away from that Game 7 experience and just kind of what it took to get that jump done yesterday?
It showed that we could go take a game if we put our mind to it. I don't think we played like that the whole series. That we had a different type of hunger to us, and it showed.
What was it like just being in that environment for Game 7?
It was great. First Game 7. Fans came with it. We came with it. We felt the juice, the whole game. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
What do you think of just the quick turnaround between series? It's even you guys were on the other end. We guys wait a week for the next playoff game.
We're gonna get prepared as well as we can. Take what we need, get healthy, get right, fuel back up, and get ready to go back at it again.
What stands out to you when you look at the tape on Minnesota? And of course, you played them 4 times. What are some of the challenges they present?
They have a lot of good players. They can have anybody have a hot night, and they're a good team, offensively and defensively.
Would you like better yesterday, your transition dunk or the bagged in corner three?
Transition dunk, easy. Easy.
You can call back?
No, I didn't. It went in though, so that's all.
Minnesota has played quite a bit of zone over the course of time. You all just came out of a series where you faced zone over and over again. How much better do you think at the end of the series you guys were than at the beginning of the series of attacking and finding the spots in the zone?
A lot better. It showed in the last game that we figured it out. It prepared us for this next series for sure. I'm sure we might see a little zone. So, yeah, that was a good reps for us.
What is it about those lineups of you, AC, and Wade that have been so effective? Because it seems like it's swung a lot of minutes the last 3 weeks.
We come in and try to change the pace of the game. We have that mindset that, it could start with us. So us going in and playing as hard as we can, the team feeds into it.
You probably matched up Daigneault at some point. What are the challenges of dealing with him? What do you try to take away from him to make him unsuccessful?
I'm just gonna go be who I am, ball pressure, get into his handle. He's a good player, so he's gonna make tough buckets. But I'm just trying to make his night hard, make him have tough shots all night.
What did you think of Caruso's defense yesterday, and what did you learn from his whole defense during this series?
He flies around. That's nothing new. He's one of the great defenders. Nothing new was shown though. In my opinion, he's been doing it all season.
Anybody else?
One more on the dunk. At what point did you know you were going to dunk it?
Once I cross half court, I was like, it's me and him at this point. So he's either going to jump or he's not. But I'm going to dunk it. So
Thanks, guys.
thank you.
You go from one division team that you're very familiar with to another, played 4 times. This Minnesota team played quite a bit of zone, just like Denver did. Just wonder if you feel like on a short turnaround there may be some applicables from Game 7 to moving into Game 1.
Yeah, I mean, we played them 4 times, but only once when they were whole. We were not fully whole yet, so there's always stuff you can take from those games. Definitely from a personnel standpoint, we have familiarity with a lot of their players from previous seasons even, but apples to apples. I don't know if those games are like, the perfect frameworks through which to look at the series. So it'll be different, just like every playoff series. They're a team we respect. They're playing exceptionally well right now. Since really March 1st, they've been outstanding, both ends of the floor, and their playoff run's been very impressive. So it's a tall task and going to require great, energy, focus, all the things that we need to bring.
I think Julius Randle, one of those guys, didn't play last time he played. What's he bringing that they didn't have?
Well, he's playing with unbelievable confidence right now. I mean, I haven't watched every game. Obviously, we just finished yesterday, but he's got his head down and getting to his spots, and has a great blend right now of right hand, left hand, finishing, getting fouled, finding teammates. He's really passed the ball well out of help situations, and so he's just playing with a lot of rhythm and confidence right now, and has been a very reliable source of offense for them, both as a distributor and as a scorer.
Well, you mentioned that during the season series that they weren't really on. On top of that, the season series was one of those weird schedule works when we played them like 4 times a month or whatever.
Yeah.
How different are they really from the team they were in February?
I think significantly different, both they had injuries a lot of the season. So they're pretty much fully whole right now, which is a big difference from back then. So are we. We haven't been fully whole most of the season until the playoffs. So there's definitely differences there. The bones of every team is the same, for the most part. The tendencies of the main players is usually the same. And we're familiar with them from previous seasons even, so they're a different version this year. But like I said, since March 1st, they've been exceptional.
And I'm not sure you're watching his growth this closely, but Ant seems like a guy that with each playoff series, he's sort of learning to read the coverages and sort of learning how to carry a team. What have you seen from him as far as like gradual growth each playoff run he's had?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to act like I'm an expert on it because I really haven't been watching Minnesota. I've been watching Denver and Oklahoma City, but from a distance, obviously an unbelievably electric player that combines great athleticism and skill and a great mindset, offensively, and it has just continued to see the pictures and play very well. He's a great competitor. And a guy that, is obviously a high priority for us in the game plan, but obviously a tall task. I mean, there's a reason they're where they are right now.
Mark, is there anything unique how they pick you guys up, maybe at half court or specifically Shea, that they do that maybe other teams don't do?
Yeah, they're a lot different from Denver, for example. I think, especially on that end of the floor, Denver tends to gap you more and try to shrink the size of the floor by backing up and filling gaps in that way. This team is more pressure oriented. I think Gobert gives them a lot of confidence to do that. And have thrown a good amount of stuff at us in the past, but it's hard to know exactly what they're going to do because, like I said, they haven't been whole. I mean, Gobert didn't play in some of those games, and he obviously changes what they do defensively because of his impact at the rim. So, as in every series, you go into game one, you have kind of a baseline game plan, but your series really starts there in terms of understanding what's coming. You can guess all you want, but we need to get our stuff right tomorrow, and try to play our best game and worry about ourselves with an awareness of the plan. And then tomorrow's game will reveal where the series starts for both teams, and then we'll start to play it from there, just like we have in every other series.
Park, in a league that three-point shooting has become such a big thing. Both of these teams want to get to the rim, but also defend the rim really well. What's the challenge there as you think about, obviously, like you said, you played these guys, the bones of the team, but just, where you're so acutely aware of that three-point barrage that's out there, and you guys want it too, they want it too, but how does that sort of change things when you've got two teams that are so good around the rim on both ends?
At the end of the day, we just we want to be a team that makes the quality of your threes lower with either selection, take some threes away, or with contesting on that end of the floor. And then on the offensive end, you got to take what the defense gives you, including open shots. But I thought our blend yesterday on offense was pretty optimal. Like we attacked, finished appropriately, got it a lot in transition, obviously, but we also got threes yesterday. We got high quality threes. I think this past series, reiterated something we learned in the season, which is like we can play in such a way that we can overcome rough shooting nights. We did not shoot the three well in this series, despite pretty good quality, like better quality than the regular season even. And yet, even though we didn't shoot at a high percentage, we were able to manufacture in other ways with defense and the possession game and, stuff at the basket, free throws. So, that's what we'll need to continue to do. But we got to take what they give us. If we're open, we got to shoot.
Mark, Denver played a lot of zone against you guys. Minnesota also in the regular season played a majority of their zone minutes against you. How impactful has a guy been like Isaiah Hartenstein in those situations as a playmaker and just his little short rolling energy?
Well, I mean, in the Denver series, we had to move him around a little bit. That was a huge adjustment we had to make just based on how they were playing it. I think if Minnesota played it, they played a lot different than Denver, and so our attacks would be different based on what kind of looks they give us. But I thought one of the things that was encouraging about the Denver series was certain specifics that we had to improve as the series went on, and that we did improve as the series went on. And zone was certainly one of them. That was something they played 3-2 early in the series. We kind of figured that out. Then they went to a 2-3. That stalled us out a little bit with the way they were playing it versus the way we were attacking it. Fourth quarter of game 4, we got some traction against it, and we were much better moving forward from there. But the bigger picture thing is, we identified something that was a problem we had to solve as a team, and we worked through it and solved it, that's really the skill more than zone offense. Is like this series will present something different. That's a problem that we'll have to solve together, and we're going to have to do that. That's part of being able to perform in a playoff series. The series are long.
Mark, you talked last series about everybody trying to get a competitive advantage, and the Nuggets did some talking in the media about specific players and officiating and whatnot. I don't know if you remember this, but last regular season meeting with the Timberwolves, Chris Fitch specifically called out some of your players kind of as a way of criticizing the officials. Do you prepare for that type of proxy battle in the playoffs? Do you prepare the team? How do you handle that?
We prepare the team for the games, first of all. I said this in the Denver series because it came up there too. I mean, teams, players, coaches are going to use the media to try to influence the whistle as a competitive advantage. The margins are thin in the playoffs. Everyone's looking for an advantage. Some teams will go to that to do that. My mentality on that is it's the Western Conference Finals. The guys working these games aren't here for an accident. I don't think they're influenced by anything I say, anything our team says. I don't think they're compromised by anything anybody else says. We just are going to focus on what we can control. If they are influenced by anything that anybody says in the media, they shouldn't be working in the Western Conference Finals. And everyone would know because it's been pretty consistent to this point. So that's how I look at it.
Mark, Minnesota has 3 guys off the bench they really trust, and
Reed, Alexander Walker, and DiVincenzo. Wanted to see what you thought about their depth and maybe those guys together.
They have really good playoff depth. Those 8 guys that they play are, they go high quality in those 8 spots. And all those guys come in, they play with a ton of confidence, ton of competitiveness. Those guys in particular give a scoring punch off the bench. Reed is a very unique matchup, off the bench especially. DiVincenzo comes in hot. He's ready to play every single night. Alexander Walker is a great 2-end player for them that plays with really good offensive confidence as well. So, I mean, they have 8 guys that are really, really impactful players in playoffs or regular season. So there's a reason they are where they are for the second straight year, and they're a team we have a lot of respect for.
Mark, what do you just think of Dave Bless's growth as a coach over the years?
I mean, he was a pretty good coach from the jump. He's somebody that has. Dave was in the video room to start. He's worked at every level of a coaching staff. He's been in the video room. He's been in development. He's worked with a lot of different types of players in development. And then since I became the head coach, he's overseen the day-to-day maintenance of our defense and has done an unbelievable job with that. He has a great temperament for that. He doesn't overreact, but he doesn't underreact. You know, he's incredibly intelligent, great game planner, great communicator. He's very simple and keeps things simple for the guys. And, you know, our whole staff deserves a lot of credit for especially the development of the players. They're on the front lines with the players every single day. He's included in that. But yeah, he's done an incredible job for us, as the rest of our assistants have.
There's usually a lot of adjustments just in a normal game, but because it's such a quick turnaround, the guy could be ready for more adjustments. I mean, just kind of in-game things, because you don't have like a week off like you had in the other series.
Yeah, I mean, we had a week off, but we didn't know the opponent most of the time. So like our actual prep time hasn't really changed. It actually allows us to keep our flow in terms of the way that we've built up to the other two series. We've had like 2 days in each case, including this one. In terms of adjustments, like we like to think that most of that stuff is built in to the equation at this point. We use the regular season to try to prepare the toolbox, so to speak. And then if we need certain tools in certain games or certain series, we're able to draw upon them and pivot very quickly. That's why we operate like we do in the regular season. And so, you know, we don't know what the series, the Caruso Chet thing with Jokic yesterday was something we obviously wanted to look at early in the game, but I wasn't planning going into the game. I didn't realize we were going to do it that much. It's just you're dancing with the game at that point. And fortunately, we have a team that can dance along with us. You know, like if we didn't have an adaptive team that could pivot with us, we wouldn't be able to do that, but we do. We've tried to train that muscle, and we're going to need all that. We don't know what exactly we'll need in the series, but we're going to need it all to be ready.
Mark, your guys talked yesterday after the game about sensing sort of an uptick in just the fervor, I guess, at the arena. Have you sensed it even change from what you've seen and heard? Maybe?
What's fervor?
Just like the vibe, the activity.
I don't know what fervor means. I could have used context clues, but I didn't want to leave anything to chance. I didn't know what it meant. I could use context clues. I've never used that word in a sentence.
Well, to use it now.
I thought the crowd has always been great here. I always reference our rebuild years because to me, that was when we really, or at least for me, I really learned that. I wasn't here during the first rebuild. I was here during the end of the first run. And I was always amazed by the support and the positivity that the community had around a team that was, losing way more games than they were winning. And that's only continued as the team has grown. I think having a team, a lot is made of how young our team is. And I think being in a market where the wind is at young players' backs and where they feel support from their fans, they don't feel judgment, they don't feel skepticism or negativity. I think that's helped our young players grow up quickly. I think our fans and our fan base deserve a lot of credit for that. And yesterday was, the second quarter run yesterday was as loud as I've heard it, maybe ever. And you can just feel the excitement in the community. We have a great deal of appreciation and gratitude for our fans because everybody in the city seems to be behind us, and we certainly feel that. And when we play at home, that's certainly an advantage for us.
Do you even find yourself like, I don't know, you go get coffee and like people are stopping you to say like, well, what about Caruso on? I don't know, or drop off the kids and like people want to give you their 2 cents.
Yes. When we were losing more, it was kind of like there was an anonymity to it. I know that word. I don't know fervor, but that was nice. But yeah, there's a lot of excitement.
Anybody else today?
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks.